All right, everyone, this is Norval Central coming back at you with another YouTube video. And at this time of the recording, I have about 1,300 and something subscribers at this point. I know about 80% of you are not subscribed to the channel that are watching, so be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. Be sure to like the video. Also, comment your thoughts. This is a huge, huge, huge game for Florida State coming up against Wake Forest. And we are 4-0 on the season, of course. This has been a great season so far for Florida State to fight through adversity, to show that sense of fight. But now you're bringing in a high powered offense that you haven't seen. Now, Malik Cunningham showed a pretty good offense there in Louisville. You also had Jaden Daniels at LSU that showed some pretty good promise on offense as well with his feet. But Sam Hartman is not a runner with his feet. He is more of a pocket passer. He's going to slow you down with that slow mesh option that he runs a lot, and the run pass option is going to be very key. We're going to see how many ineligible receivers are downfield at that point. And I think Florida State is got to stay focused in this game, especially with all the comments that Dave Clawson made. Earlier, he talked about he hopes that the ACC makes the right decision on the Storm earlier in the week. If they don't, they're going to. And then he talked about the food and also the transportation and the electricity. There was a lot of different things that were going on. And Tallahassee was not really affected by the hurricane. Now, I do want to reach out and say that I'm praying for all those people that are affected by the hurricane and trying to get their homes back into place. And it's probably going to take a couple months before that happens. But I'm praying for all those people in Florida and also South Carolina and those surrounding states that are affected, impacted by that. But I'm definitely thinking about those people. But just getting back onto the game and everything, Florida State is kind of in a situation where they need to get fans in the stands. And Dave Clawson actually made another claim that Florida State's stadium was going to be closer to Vandy because he didn't think people were going to travel because of the storm. Well, Michael Alford in the ticket office decided, well, you know what? We have a full student capacity, and we're going to let those students, if they can't fill in the other student section, we're going to let them jump into other sections. Then on top of that, we're giving out free tickets to anybody that shows up with a Florida identification that has been impacted by the storm or is in the path. They did advise people not to take advantage of that situation because you can get up to four free tickets, and they really want to get to those people that can be helped by that and just kind of enjoy their day away from kind of the catastrophic events that happened with the hurricane. But just overall, though, I think it's a really good opportunity for Florida State to show up there. Hopefully, you see about 65 to 70,000 people there. That would be a really nice surprise, especially with the short notice of the storm and people not really being able to travel in South Florida. Just a couple of different things there. But overall, I think Florida State has got to be really, really on key with everything going on. Of course, they had that 44-14 home win against Boston College. It was pretty impressive, and it was also very exciting to see because we haven't really seen a blowout ACC win since Duke of last year. And before that, I mean, it was just something, or it was Duke of 2020. And also just looking at different things going on. Sam Hartman is a very dynamic quarterback, as I stated before. The Clemson game went to double overtime. It finished at a 51-45 loss for them. He had over 300 yards, 6 touchdowns. I mean, the guy is absolutely impressive. Now, the one thing I think Florida State can kind of vulture on a little bit is their running game. The running game with Ellison and Turner, they both have about 175 yards and a touchdown apiece. Both of them last year against Florida State had 28 attempts for 97 yards and a touchdown. Now, granted, the game last year, McKenzie Milton, and also we had a couple of fumbles there. There was just a lot of things offensively that we couldn't, get out of our own way, basically. We had 6 turnovers in that game, and they ended up winning by 21 points. They don't have Christian Bell Smith anymore. He transferred to South Carolina, so that's one less running attack that we have to worry about. But the problem is they have that trio of wide receivers with A.T. Perry, Donovan Green, and Jamal Banks as well. I think those are 3 receivers that they really, really like. And I think their offensive line is solid. Now, I don't know how Sam Hartman would be if he went to an elite offense like an Alabama or any of these things, but I think he is prototypical in his system. I think he really works it out, and I think he really knows what he's doing. I mean, my gosh, he's been there for 5, 6 years now. And at this point, I think Florida State's going to have to really exploit a lot of things that are going on with the Wake Forest defense. Now, the good news is Florida State is ranked number 1 in the ACC in pass defense, where they've only allowed 166 yards. Now, they did play Duquesne. They played a formidable offense in LSU and also Louisville. And then they played a game in Boston College where Phil Jurkovec did not do a very good game He was pressured all night, and the running game couldn't get going for him. Wide receivers were dropping passes left and right. Just a lot of different things going his way. But overall, I mean, you have to really stay focused on defense as well, because on the other side with Wake Forest's defense, they're 68th in the FBS in total in rushing defense as well. They have 141 yards average on per game. And they played schools like Liberty and also Clemson and just different teams like that, BMI, I believe, and UConn. So you have to figure out different ways to be able to scheme them and be able to get their bend but don't break defense out of there because there's 72 in the nation in total defense. So it's going to be really exciting to see if Jordan Travis continue his hot streak. And Florida State runs the ball efficiently, just like they did last year. They're 13th in the FBS in rushing offense, and they have 227 rushing yards per game. So I think it's very impressive to see that. And you're hoping they can continue to slow the game down, control their possessions, and do a lot of good things there. But the problem is Wake Forest forces turnovers. They have 10 turnovers forced on the season. And ironically enough, interesting stat for them, Wake Forest, they forced a turnover in 33 of their 35 games. So you really have to watch out for Wake Forest's defense. They're very optimistic. And the big key factor here, and I know that Dave Clawson is going to be looking around and trying to find a way to win this ball game, but Wake Forest hadn't beaten Florida State and Tallahassee since 2008, which is very impressive streak. And during those 2006 through 2008 seasons, Wake Forest is a very, very good team, but Florida State is 23-1 in their home games against Wake Forest all time, and actually away games as well. So very impressive to see. I think Wake Forest has, I believe it's 8 wins total in the series. So it's just very impressive to see Florida State really being on their top game there. But overall, I think a lot of the times where you look at Florida State's receiving corps, I think that's going to be the biggest thing in this game because they're going to have to create opportunities. Now, Florida State has spread the ball out a lot. Against Duquesne, you saw Portier where he had 84 yards. And then you had Ontario Wilson with that one-handed grab. He had 7 receptions for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. You go to Louisville and you see Johnny Wilson. He had those 7 catches for 149 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then you turn over to Boston College and had Darian Williamson, especially in the first half before he got hurt. He had 98 yards and 5 receptions. Who's going to step up now? Who is going to be that guy that's going to step up for Florida State? I've been clamoring for Micah Pittman for quite some time. He has dished out those key crucial blocks there. He has been able to get in the screen game. He's shown a lot of heart and fight. I think this could be his opportunity to really be successful in this game. Now, I think the problem that Florida State's going to have to run into in this game is not turning this game into a track meet because you're falling right into Wake Forest's hands at that point. Now, their defense is kind of, a work in progress, I guess you could say. But I think overall, I think Florida State, as long as they stay pretty consistent along those RPOs and that slow mesh, I think that Jamie Robinson is going to have a big game in this one. And I think that's going to be a situation where Florida State's going to eventually force a turnover, and Wake Forest is probably going to get a little bit too ahead of themselves to where they're going to have to kind of face the reality of being down in a game, and they're going to try to get back into it. And that slow mesh is not going to work anymore. Now, it would help if Jared Verse and Fabian Lovett, if they come back into this game, and that's going to be kind of a game time decision for both of those guys. Maybe you get an Amari Gaynor back pretty soon. Maybe you get Winston Wright Jr. back pretty soon in terms of that. I know he's working some individual drills, and Amari Gaynor is as well. Verse has been suiting up a little bit, and I know that Lovett's been having a boot with some crutches still on, so we're going to see how all that plays out. And then Ja'Kai Douglas, maybe he gets back into the mix of things. He's been working some individual drills as well, but we'll definitely see what's going to go on with that. But I'm super excited to see if any of those injured guys come back in this game. I think it's going to be really important to get some of those guys back, especially when you get that pivotal stretch between NC State and Clemson. They're going to be battling this weekend, so they're going to tire themselves out, and you're going to go into NC State after they've been kind of hobbled after that tough and physical game at night when the nation is watching you. So Florida State needs to come into this game at 2:30, or actually 3:30 on ABC, and I think they got to take care of business. I think that's a situation where Florida State's got to understand the limitations of this team, and they have to really understand the facts of, okay, we have to finish this game and be 5-0. We cannot take any wins for granted. That's what I was talking about before with the Boston College game. You cannot take a team that you're favored by 15 points. In this case, you're favored by 7. The spread has actually went up from 2 points to 7 points, and the nation is really, really excited for Florida State. They're in the top 25 for the first time since the season opener in 2018 against Virginia Tech. I think there's a lot of optimism with Florida State, and they have to really keep their foot on the gas. And Coach Norvell actually talked about in a media session how he wanted to dominate that Boston College game, and those players came out and dominated in every form and fashion of that game. So you really want to see another performance from that. You hope that Jordan Travis builds off his another 300-yard performance. I hope they run the ball efficiently, and you hope you're getting around 500 yards, which is basically your average on offense right now. And they're number one in total offense in the ACC. So, man, it's going to be a great game. I hope it's not going to be too much of a shootout, but I'll go ahead and give my score prediction. I think it's going to be Florida State 38, Wake Forest 28. And I think it's going to be a two-possession game. I think Fitzgerald's going to kick a field goal closer to the end of the game to basically knock it out of reach for Wake Forest and secure that win going into an NC State environment that you aren't really kind as of late. So I'm really excited to see how Florida State responds to the opportunities that they've been given in front of them. And I think that Mike Norvell is going to be ready for this game and get his team ready for next week as well. But I hope you all enjoyed this video today. I just wanted to get on here and share a couple of thoughts, share a couple of tidbits, and I hope each and every one of you have a great day. If you're going to the game this weekend, I hope you all have a safe trip going to the game. And as always, go Noles.